Welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to look at segolate nouns. Segolate nouns. What are segolate nouns? Segolate nouns are bisyllabic. In other words, they are two-syllable nouns that has certain characteristics of their own. The first characteristic that is very unique to segolate nouns is that it is always accented in the first syllable. Please remember this. Typically, Hebrew nouns are accented in the final syllable, but segolate nouns will always be accented in the first syllable. So you should see a monarch or some sort of an accent at the first syllable. All right. The vowel of the first syllable can either be a class, E class, or O class. So remember, it's a bisyllable. This is a first. These are the vowels. So this will be accented, and the vowel which is in the first syllable will either be an A class vowel or an E class vowel or an O class vowel. Let me just show you a few examples of this. You have the word Mavet. Again, this is a segolate noun because it is accented in the first syllable. And as I said, in this case, the vowel of the first syllable is a kamets, and therefore that's an A class vowel. Good. Another word, LF. It's a bisyllable word, accented in the first syllable. This is accented, the monarch is there. And in this case, the syllable that is part of the accented syllable is a segol, which is now an E class vowel. Let me show you another word, which is of the O class. And for that, I have the word ohel. Ohel. O-hel. It is accented. Let me just erase all these unwanted dots. Okay, so this is the word ohel. Again, accented in the first syllable. This is a noun, an accented noun in the first syllable, and that's accented in the first syllable. You have the vowel, which in this case will be an O class. That's the first thing you have to remember. Now, let us discuss now the second syllable. The second syllable will usually take segol as its vowel, unless it is a guttural. Sorry, I'm running short of space. If it is a guttural, they prefer the A class vowels. They prefer the R sound. So the gutturals, if the second syllable has a guttural in it, you can be assured that there is going to be some sort of A sound in it. But typically the second syllable will be a segol. And that's exactly the case here. This is the second syllable. Thankfully, as the rule is, it is usually going to be a segol, and that's what I'm seeing here. It's a segol. Let me show you more examples of this. You have the word melek. Again, bisyllable, accent the first syllable. What about the second syllable? The second syllable will have a segol, usually has a segol. Now, I have a word called na'ar. Nahar. This is the next word. Na'ar. Now, this is a guttural, and therefore the tendency is not to see a segol, but to see an A class vowel, which in this case is a kamets. Okay. Or the next one, sefer. Again, this is a bisyllable word. The second syllable typically will be a segol. So these are the two rules. The first rule is it will always be accented on the first syllable, and the vowel in the first syllable can either be an A class, E class, or O class. The second rule is the second syllable will ordinarily be segol, although it can be a patak if we are dealing with a guttural in the middle consonant or the final consonant. Any of these two consonants in the second syllable, if any of them is a guttural, there is a tendency for gutturals to take the A class, and you should be seeing an A class vowel there, usually a patak. Okay, so let us make plural segolates out of it. Plural segolate nouns. Plural segolate nouns have very well-defined groups. So I'm just going to show you the groups in itself and understand the logic behind how it becomes plural. Okay, segolate noun. Now these are plurals of masculine nouns. Now again, with non-gutturals. Masculine nouns will have an ending of in, so that is expected even in here. But the moment you add something to a word in Hebrew from the beginning or from front or from the end, you change the accents always. Remember, in segolate nouns, the accent is in the first syllable. You will upset all of that and the wobbling of that. So there is going to be changes. So here's the first one. Beged. Beged means garment. I want to make it plural, so masculine plural. So add the word into it. So the moment I've added something to it, I have changed from a 2-syllable word to a 3-syllable word. Okay, so this is how it breaks up. Okay, now this is an open pretonic because it ends with a segol. Open pretonic. Open pretonics will prefer a kamets, a long vowel. All right, a long vowel. Let me put it that way. A long vowel. In this case, it's a kamets. Now this is my propretonics. Propretonic reduction will take place. In other words, this will reduce to a vocal sheva, a simple vocal sheva. And the final word is begadim. Again, it won't challenge you because you will recognize your im, which is a plural ending. You have the root beged, beged, which will tell you that it is garment. But the moment you see it in plural form, you have to write garments. Take a minute to observe this. Let me do the next one. Again, I'm dealing with, like what I wrote there, plurals of masculine nouns with non-gutturals. These are non-guttural. There's no guttural there. So here's the next word. Sefer. Sefer. Books. This is book. I want to say books. Sorry, this is book. So books, I add the im ending. I've changed it through a 3-syllable word now, and I'm breaking them up. So now this is my pretonic, which is open, and therefore it won't take a segol, which is a short vowel. It will like to take a kamets. Let's say it takes a long vowel, and the Masoretes said they would like to read it as an a. So we will fa. So instead of fe, it's read as a fa. What about this propretonics? Now this is a propretonic syllable. Propretonic syllable will be volatilized to a simple vocal sheva. So it will be, in the end, it is sefarim. The im will tell me it is plural. The root safara will tell me it's part of the word sefer. okay, which deals with, now it's going to be translated as books here. Take a minute to see this, and you will notice generally the pattern is the same. There's a open pretonic which will be lengthened to a comets. There's a propretonic, this is the open pretonic, and then there's a propretonic which gets reduced to a shiva. Other words are there in 7.25 of page Kelly, page 53. Please go through them. They will always be like that. And other nouns which follow the same pattern is Geffen, Derek, then you have Kerem, Melek, Naar, Yeled, Pesha, Shemen, and Zevak. These are the words which will follow a very similar pattern of an open pretonic lengthening to a comets and a propretonic reduction to a vocal shiva. What about feminine nouns? Now let me look at feminine nouns. So I'll write this now. Plurals of feminine nouns that begin with non-gutturals. Remember, feminine plurals will have the ot ending. So I have a word like, this is a Dageshlani because it is a Dalet. So this is the word Delet, which means door. It ends with a tau, so you know it's pretty much a feminine word. But I want to make it plural. So this is again a syllable. This is again you see the munak is here, so you're breaking this up into a bisyllabic segolate noun. I want to add the ot. The moment I add an ot to it, I cause a change in it. I make it a 3-syllable word. All right. Again, this is an open pretonic, and therefore I cannot expect to see a segol. I will see a long vowel. In this case, it's a comets. What about this one? Now the accent is moved on from here. This is no more the accent. This is now the accented syllable. So this has now become my propretonics. So now the propretonic will be reduced to a shiva. So the word is delatot. Delatot. The ot ending will tell you it's a plural. The will tell you it is, the root was door, doors, because it's an ot ending. That's pretty much it. Take a minute to look at this. The next one. Now what happens if I have a plural of a masculine noun that begins with a guttural? Plural of masculine noun that begins with gutturals. So let me take the word Eved. Eved. Okay. Now I am looking at 7.27 of the page Kelly. Eved is a bisyllabic segolate noun because it's accented on the first syllable. Okay. Now Eved. Again. A word like this, if I want to make it into a masculine plural, so I add the im, I change the accentation. Again, I'm going to now break into 3 syllables. This is an open pretonic. The open pretonic will not prefer the short segol, it will prefer the long vowel. In this case, it's a kamets. So I make it that. But what about now? The accent is moved because this is now the accented syllable, so that the monarch cannot exist anymore. Now I have a pro-pretonic. In the pro-pretonic, I have a guttural there. So guttural, there is a volatilization which takes place of this, and gutturals you would have thought would get a vocal shiver, but you know gutturals don't like a simple vocal shiver. They prefer what we call a compound shiver, and usually of the A class. So what we see is a compound shiver, which is now which is because of the volatilization there. So what is the word there? Avadim. Again, the im tells you it's plural. Avada tells you it is the word eved, and you will translate it as servants. Let me look at another word, but take a minute to observe this while I just prepare myself for the next word. And the next word is chesed. Chesed, a very popular word in the Old Testament, chesed. Okay, let's look at chesed. Chesed. Chesed, mercy, mercy. And this is a Segolate noun. It's accented on the first syllable. It's a noun. I want to say mercies. So it is a masculine. I'll add the masculine ending to it. Now this is the form you're going to get it. Again, I've changed it becomes a trisyllable, 3 syllables. Again, this is a open because it ends with a segol. So it's an open pretonic. It does not prefer a short vowel, it prefers a long vowel, and it prefers, in this case, a kamets. Okay, great. But there has to be this is my pro-pretonics. In my pro-pretonics, I will see a pro-pretonic reduction. It reduces a volatilization, or it volatilizes to a shiver. But this is a ket. It's a guttural. He does not prefer a regular vocal shiver. He prefers a compound shiver. So it becomes kasadim, which is not mercy anymore, but because it's plural, kasada, it is mercies. Take a minute to look at that. Okay, what about plurals of feminine nouns that begin with gutturals? So I have a word called kerev. Kerev is a feminine Segolate noun in the singular. Now I'm going to make it plural. This is a feminine singular word, and I want to make it plural. So to make it plural, I will add the ot ending to it. So again, I increase the syllables. I break this up. This is an open pretonic. It does not prefer the short segol. It prefers a long vowel, and it will prefer, in this case, a kamets. Again, what about a pro-pretonics? In my pro-pretonic, there will be a pro-pretonic reduction, and once again I will see it does not like a simple vocal shiver. It prefers a khatib vowel of the A class. So it will be this is karavot. Again, the ot will tell you it's plural. Karav, the root will tell you it is sword, so you translate it as swords. I'm reading from 7.28 of the Page Kelly book. Take a minute to observe this while I then show you the next word of a similar, same thing is going to happen in all the cases, but I'll just show it to you. another feminine word. Another feminine segolate singular word is the word even. Even means stone. Even. Segolate. Even. So now this is the final noun. You add im to it. Of course, the first thing you need to correct yourself is the moment you add something behind, you will make it a regular noun, and then you will make it an im. So now, again, this is an open pretonic, which does not prefer the segol. It will take the comments. What about this? This is a propretonic reduction. It reduces to a shiver. So it will not take us. Now the monarch is gone because the accent is now here. The monarch is gone. This is the accented syllable. So there's the moment you add something behind, that monarch in the first syllable is gone. It cannot exist there as a accented syllable anymore. And therefore there is a propretonic reduction. And you have the khate patak because that's pretty much the sound they prefer. They don't prefer the regular vocal shivers. That's pretty much it. Take a minute to absorb this. What about nouns with dual endings? And I'm looking at 7.29. Dual endings. Now remember, dual endings refer to things in nature or parts of the body that exist in pairs rather, and they typically are feminine in its classification. I have the word keren. Keren. Again, keren is a bisyllabic noun simply because it is accented the first syllable, and that's the main differentiation. A segolate noun will always be accented in the first syllable. Now, if I have to make this into a dual, of course I'm going to lose my patak, but I'm going to make this a regular noun. And what do I need to add? What's a dual ending? It's the accented patak, yod, kirek, and a mem. Remember, it's a yod, kirek, and a mem. Now this has become a dual. Now what happens, we notice, is this segol gets reduced to a shiva. Now if you're wondering, and this is becoming a patak. Now why does it happen like that? Let's not to worry about at this stage as a student. What you need to figure out is, this is the final form which will appear. This is the final form that will appear in the text. So you be concerned about that. So will I recognize? Yes, you will recognize this is a dual form. So you'll translate it as a pair of karana is horn. So a pair of horns. Okay. Now again, if you break this up, this is a bisyllable. This is, yeah, it is a bisyllable word. You can break it off here. This is the accented syllable because it has the accent pata also, but that is the accented syllable. This is now a closed, because it's ending with a resh, it's ending with a consonant. This is a closed accented syllable, and you will remember in a closed accented syllable, this is a closed unaccented syllable because let me repeat that again. This is a closed unaccented symbol because the accent is moved to the last syllable, which is this one. This is an unaccented syllable and is closed because it ends with a resh. So a closed unaccented syllable, Hebrew requires a short vowel, and that's why we see the short vowel here, okay, which in this case is a patak. Why did it move from a segol to a patak? Let's not to worry about that. Right now you just need to figure out that this is the final form. This is the form that you will receive it, and this is what you need to understand, that as long as you see the accented patak, yod, kirek, and a mem, you know it is a dual ending, and you recognize the root, and you will figure out that it is a pair of horns, or you can simply translate it as two horns because it's dual. Okay. Now there are some segolates which do not have which they only have a singular form, they do not have a plural form. Again, there are some segolates which have singular forms but no plural forms. I'm reading 7.30. Words like the art, knowledge, desha is grass, lechem, bread, righteousness, or that is sadak, shemen is the sun, selem rather, selem is image, kesef is silver, okel is food, and zera is seed. These are all words I'm reading from 7.30. Once again, the art, knowledge, deshe is grass, lechem is bread, sedek is righteousness, shemen is sun, selem is image likeness, kesev is silver, okel is food, zera is seed. These are all segolates. They have singular forms but no plurals. They don't appear in the plural forms in the Hebrew text. So, good for all of us. Okay, that comes to the end of the gutturals. Geez, why did I say gutturals? That comes to the end of segolate nouns. Segolate noun. That comes to the end of segolate nouns. Enjoy it. Thank you.